Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? So I have a lot on my mind today, and I'm about to give you a rant about some thoughts on what's going on in the world today. As I kind of organize my thoughts, I'll kind of give people an opportunity to trickle in here. Just to forewarn you, I'm probably going to be taking a bit of a, I don't know, I'm going to just try to be very cautious in my approach. Obviously, using certain keywords it's just not an option today. I don't want to jeopardize my channel, but I definitely want to, I want to discuss these things, right? So I want to make sure that everybody's aware of what's going on, and bear with me a second here. So anyways, so as many of you already know, there is kind of a resurgence, you might say, of new information. And the title to my video is basically The Lies That Perpetuate Dystopia. And I'm kind of starting a series that I am kind of bouncing off of a picture that I took of the thumbnail that you see when you enter the video here. It's a little truck that my son has, and it says School of Higher Learning or Higher Education, and it basically is a monster truck bus. I just think it's funny because my son loves that thing. He's only he's coming up on 3 years old, and he loves that little monster truck. Hi, Lady Weaver. How you doing today? I'm actually, I've been meaning to catch up with you. Life is crazy as... Let's try that again. Can you hear me now? It said that I lost volume or audio. So I just logged out, logged back in, and I think that we're good now. Just let me know, Lady Weaver, if you can hear me. So anyways, I'm kind of in that spot right now where, you know, I pretty much disconnected. I disconnected from the mainstream media for a little while because I just had a lot going on in my mind. There's a lot going on in the family, a lot going on in you know, my transition to running a business, and things are just crazy. So, but as things are kind of getting settled in, I just hired a guy, and I'm training him up, and he actually is becoming more familiar with the process. So I just started, you know, feeling like I could leave that on the back burner a little bit and kind of re-enter the realm of the stuff that's going on in the world. So that's kind of been my, you know, passion for several years, just trying to understand the way things are unfolding. But you know, it's disheartening sometimes when you kind of know the nature of the beast, I guess you could say, the nature of the beast, because you actually you know that a lot of what's happening is the lies that perpetuate dystopia. So if you look at kind of the most recent, everybody knows what happened with all of you know, this quote unquote pandemic, you know, the whole charade that's been happening. Now, if you look at how they have been incrementally trying to implement the injection, right? So we all know that they're trying to, you know, push everybody in that direction. Now, the part that scares me, and I haven't seen anybody pop into the chat, so I'm just wondering if you can still hear me. Let me know. It says that I'm live, so I don't know. I want to just make sure. So, and obviously this time of the day isn't. I mean, obviously, Lady Weaver's in Europe, so it's probably nighttime around there. But I don't know. A lot of the stuff that's happening in the States, you know, people are just kind of busy with their Saturdays. But anyways, but so if you can hear me, let me know in the chat. But I'll just keep talking otherwise. Okay, cool. So, so I'm kind of talking about, did you not see the message? Oh, yeah, I saw that you said, are you there? Or there you are. But I didn't know for sure because there's not a lot of people here yet. So I didn't know. I'm used to seeing a little more movement in the chat. So, but it's like you're all alone over there, Lady Weaver. But anyways, so, you know, with all the new things coming to light with Tony, you know, the guy that oversees everything as far as, you know, the Rone-dizzle. I actually, you know, I have to admit, I really like Senator Rand because he actually has been really exposing a lot of what's happening with all of the emails and things like that. Now, if you're not up to speed on that stuff, I mean, it's all over the internet, obviously. But the thing that I'm trying to kind of point out with this is there's something coming that is, when I say Rone-dizzle 2.0, I mean, I'm talking about like there's going to be even more of what we've been seeing, and it's just going to be amplified, right? And how they're going to roll this out. And I don't know if anybody else sees it the way that I'm seeing it, but you can actually look at just the patterns. You know, obviously the whole the U.S. Election and things like that. I even heard that they were, you know, talking about like if you start spreading disinformation about the, you know, the electoral whatever, they would potentially press charges or even put you in jail for spreading disinformation. So this whole First Amendment thing is no longer a thing anymore. Like I'm telling you, they have disconnected from the Constitution. I'm afraid that all these words are kind of going to put me in a category, but I mean, you can only do so much without being able to communicate with somebody. So, hold on. Was about to say I'm not up to speed. What is a Rone-dizzle? So that's my little key word for what we know as the pandemic. So we all know of C and then the number 19, right? So or CV. So I just we gotta use words or terminology so that okay, you're already up to speed. Okay, so anyways, I'll just leave it at that. So anyways, so going back to kind of my flow of thought here, we have, hey Lady Weaver, you know, since my live chat's not really picking up, everybody is kind of doing their thing right now. I wanted to present the option for you to come on if you want. Just tell me yay or nay or yes or no if you're interested or not, or if things are just too. I mean, if you're getting settled in for the night, I get it. So I just wanted to put that out there. I've been wanting to talk to you, but again, yeah. So, anyways, about things hitting as far as you know, I think that it's going to be. All right, never mind then. So, yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, no worries. So, anyways, okay. So back to my thought. So they're rolling something out that's going to be big, and I'm telling you, I'm warning you now because I have a feeling that what they're going to do is they're, you know how they talk about the variant, right? The new Greek terminology they're using for the variant. I think that what they're doing, and if you actually go back, and I don't know if anybody follows Del Bigtree in the Highwire, but he had a show, and I even reposted the interview that this guy did. But the guy Gert Van Ba, he is out of Switzerland, I think, and he was one of the heads of Gavi, who is, you know, their whole sole purpose is to manufacture and distribute, you know, this. So if this guy comes forward and says, I'm going to just throw out all of my life's work and all of my, you know, my credibility I'm going to just throw it all out the window and say, I have a new mission to say, I'm now going to fight against the process they're going with, you know, rolling out this test phase of this, just to because he says that what that will do is if everybody is inoculated, they're going to be given basically an RNA sequence that gives them the ability to fight off this this one strain, right? And I, you know, again, I'm not trying to promote my own understanding of it, you know, whether it's real or not. There's people out there that say this isn't even a real thing; it's just the flu or whatever. But I feel like, you know, the fact of the matter is we have, I guess what their plan was to wipe out the strain that was affecting everybody, but now there's variants, right? So this guy Gert Vandenbach actually said that what will happen is if you teach the body how to fight off the one strain, it's not going to have the ability to fight off the other strain, and then they're going to be super spreaders, or they're going to have an inability to even recognize that that's a foreign thing. So, and then it becomes, you're like a walking petri dish at that point, right? So anyways, so if you're, so okay, so with that said, people are going to be spreading something, you know, whether it be, you know, CV 2.0 or, you know, anyways, I'm trying to regain my thoughts here. So anyways, so what they're going to do is they're going to, if these super spreader petri dish people are starting to spread everything to everybody, you know, they're going to pin it on people like us that refuse to get the, you know, and once it gets bad again, which I think that this is what is going to ultimately happen, is that it's going to get so bad to the point where they're going to start treating people like us, like we are the super spreaders, when in reality we're the ones with the herd immunity, and it's really the other people that are getting, you know, propagandized, you might say. They're the ones that are actually spreading it, but we're gonna take the bad rap, right? So what they're gonna do is they're gonna freaking start nailing us for it. They're gonna say, "Oh no!" In fact, they're already doing it. The mayor of New York City is already saying that we're rolling out the passport, right? So they're saying anybody that hasn't gotten it no longer can function in society without having proof, right? So if you don't have proof of getting, you know, that, you know, then, and by the way, I'm going to just do this when I'm trying to show you how to get a shot in the arm, right? Unless you are willing to get it, then you are the one that's spreading, then you're the super spreader. And guess what? If you are the super spreader, that means that because you're not willing to get, then you are going to be the reason why things are spreading. So what they're going to treat you like a murderer is what they're ultimately going to do. What do they do to murderers? They isolate them in prison. They put them to death. So that's kind of where I'm going with all this. And I was watching David Nino, what's his name? I have him on my, it just pops up every once in a while. But anyways, I think it's like David Nino Rodriguez or something like that. He was talking about how he thinks that this speech that our president actually is going to do is basically new lockdown measures. And I'll tell you what, I'm a little nervous about that because I'm a business owner. They're going to start treating anybody that's a business owner, unless you're willing to play the game, they're going to start saying you can't operate as a business. And you know, obviously I'm not going to say like, oh, well, I guess I'm not essential then, so I'll just stay home, even though I can't make a living that way. Heck no. But everybody else, I mean, I'm almost wondering, like, with all the people that are so tired of all the freaking BS that's been happening, I think that they're starting to realize that, wait, I got the freaking, but now they're saying I can't operate in society again, or I have to wear a face diaper. Are you sure? They're starting to see freaking read between the lines too. But anyways, I've come to understand that the V is a type of operating system. Well, it's an RNA sequence. It's programming your freaking DNA is what it is. That they will be able to remote control. Yeah, you know, I can't argue against that. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds like that might be how we get into the zombie apocalypse, so to speak. They did tests on this on little towns years ago. Huh, that's interesting. Yeah, remote controlling. See, that's where I was talking about going into a trance state. So like when I do all this research about the paranormal and stuff, there's people that go into trance state, and when you're actually hijacked by a demonic entity, you are no longer operating under your own control. You're actually operating through someone else's control. And if you are actually being operated by a demon or being operated by a government, you're being remote controlled, basically, then you're a freaking zombie. That's the way I see it. That's the zombie apocalypse they've been preparing us for. So it's freaking crazy. I agree that they are already pointing the finger at the non-compliant Christians. That's true. They're going to point the finger at us. That's the whole thing. So, and that's where I'm like, man, people that are of the Lord, be mindful of what's happening here. Get ready, because the time is short. The time is short. I was already saying back, I don't know, several months ago, maybe even a year ago, that Operation 2030. What do they call it? It's the NWO 2030. I think that they're planning something that is going to be incrementally shifting all the way until 2030, and then they're going to have their utopia, but in reality, it's going to be the dystopia, because we are being lied to. They're not trying to create a utopia for us. They're trying to herd us into freaking, herd us like cattle into our freaking slaughter. What's up, Joel? How's it going, man? This clinic does virtual appointments to have 2 doctors who rarely give out medical exemptions for the vet. Yeah, so okay. Yeah, I'll put this up for a minute so that people can see it. So it's TAHOMACLINIC.com. So if you guys see this here, go check it out. I'm actually interested in looking it up right now. Because obviously if you can see it in the chat, you can click on it. But I'm going to pull it up real quick here. TAHOMACLINIC.com. See if my internet's going to work here. Is this based out of Seattle? No, it says Tacoma or Tahoma. All right, well, I got it up on my phone. You guys should pull it up here. Interesting. Well, thank you for that, Joel. Let's see. Yeah, they're in Washington. Yeah, 206. I used to live in Seattle back in the day. I recognize the area code. By the time 2030 rolls around, no doubt they will reach the point where the CV pass, bracelet, etc., will be considered too inconvenient. So they're going to have to embed it in our skin. Biometric tattoos, exactly. Mark of the beasticle. I'm telling you, people think I'm such a crazy moron that doesn't know what I'm talking about. But I'm telling people all the time, like, either this is the lead up to the mark, or it is the mark, or it's all part of the same mark system. I would like to call ahead to talk to the front desk. Oh, I would call ahead to talk to the front desk. I would tell them why I was calling, and they will probably send you the correct doctor. Yeah, so yeah, a little pre-screen phone call. Yeah, so I actually, I'm starting to get that passion, that bubbling up inside me again, because I feel like it's hard to ignore what is happening around us. And obviously it's amazing to me that there's people out there that are just not paying attention. But you can see it around the world that people are rising up. And they always use those situations where when people rise up, they do the false flags, right? The whole thing with the freaking Capitol, they made the conservative freaking Republicans look like they were, these lovers of our former president. And, anybody that loves our former president obviously is, I don't know. I'm just, my brain is spinning, and I'm thinking, I hope you guys are on the same page. I think that you are. I know that Lady Weaver and More Than a Flame are definitely on the same page. And obviously, this time of day seems like we're struggling to jumpstart the chat here. But obviously, you guys are blowing it up. Hold on a second here. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not giving medical advice. Thanks for the disclaimer. Satan is counting on the rising up rebellion. Yeah, I see. Okay, this is one facet of what's happening. The grand deception. The grand deception is that the government is on our side, and it's not just the government. I'm talking about the shadow government. I'm talking about the satanic government. That actually is the great deception, is that they are on our side, when what they're doing is they're freaking hurting us. Not hurt. Yeah, they are hurting us, but they are herding us as cattle to our slaughter. And they're waiting for people to just, and I'm surprised how abrupt they're actually implementing the steps here. It's so abrupt. And I think that they're trying to stir the pot in some way. They want to get people to rise up in some way, because they're going to say, look at those radical extremists. Those are the radical extremists that are murdering us. We have to put them down. We have to put them down. That's really scary to think about. And honestly, for me to even share that on a platform like this really puts me on the radar. And I don't want to be on the radar necessarily. But as many of you know, there's going to be a remnant that rises up in the last days. Or, as Joel might say, we have already had the last days, and that we're in the after days, I guess. The Tataria, the releasing of the devil, where he's running rampant, which that could make sense as well, because, I mean, if you think about it, the devil is running rampant. I believe he is planning out the Hegelian dialectic, the cabal, and is the problem. Human rebellion is the reaction, and the Antichrist false light awakening is the solution. I know it is the Hegelian dialectic. That's exactly what it is. I'm sure I've been on the radar for a long time. Yeah. Yep. You are freaking. You would be one of the first I would go for if if I was trying to kill off the crazies. You're definitely a crazy, one of the craziest. These are the last days for real. Revelation 20. In fact, why not just read it? Revelation's probably my favorite book of the Bible. So for anybody that isn't a follower of the Bible, you need to remember, this is a warning. This is a warning. And go back to your first love. Stop making up your own religion. So you're talking about the 1,000 years. Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven with a key to the bottomless pit and a heavy chain in his hand. He seized the dragon, the old serpent, who is the devil, Satan, and bound him in chains for 1,000 years, the angel threw him into the bottomless pit, which he then shut and locked so Satan could not deceive the nations anymore. Okay. Let's see. Until the 1,000 years were finished. So this is what Joel was suggesting, that after the 1,000 years, he will be, well, as it says here, afterward he must be released for a little while. So let's define a little while. A day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a day. That could all be relative. A little while could be 1,000 years. It could be a day. So I don't know. I don't really even know how to interpret that, but I do know that, and I think it was Matthew 24. It says, I think it was Matthew 24. It was like mocking those who, like, where is the sign of your Lord's coming? And basically they're being mocked for, not coming to rescue, but sometimes, we just have to be mindful and wait through to see and what when his return will be. So we have to be patient ultimately. Then I saw thrones, and the people sitting on them had been given the authority to judge. And I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded for their testimony. So let me talk about that for a second. My dad is kind of eccentric and crazy when it comes to end times stuff. And I say that in a way that I might think he might be onto something, actually, a lot of what he's talking about. So, but he was saying that he has proof that they have like guillotines in the waiting, and that there's like 10,000 of them, and they're going to be used as execution. So in light of what I was saying right before this, just think about this. What if your dissent or those who rise up against the government trying to control everything and saying, you need to get this inoculation, because without that, we're not going to find, or flatten the curve or whatever. So, but because there's a resurgence, it's your fault. So we're going to have to find a way to handle the dissenters. We're going to have to find a way to handle the dissenters. So now there's so many now, it's like, they can't just like look at me and say, oh, well, this little guy on YouTube, we better handle this guy. No, there's so many out there. They don't have the manpower to freaking, figure out how to snuff that out. It might make more sense to, inoculate everybody so that, they can basically. So what it is now these people are more vulnerable to this super spreader type of thing, right? So they are going to be not just spreading, but obviously they're not immune. They're not immune to the new variants. So, by the way, this is probably gonna get taken down and given a strike. I'm just gonna say that right now. I have a feeling that the YouTube algorithm is smarter than I am as far as like trying to cover up my information. So if anybody in the chat, just try to be discreet about the words you're using, because obviously there's little triggers that get the bots going. So I don't want this to get flagged, but I have a feeling it is going to get flagged, and it's probably going to get taken down. So whatever. I'll just put that out there. If the video goes away or my channel goes away, just know that I wasn't smarter than the algorithm or the bots. Hold on, let me go back and read something real quick here. Wow, you guys are... Oh. We are one. Kumbaya. We are God. and let's save the Mother Earth. It's all new aginess. Yeah. Yeah, in fact, I feel like that might be part, like the new world religion. It's the religion that basically says that you make up your own religion, but it has to coincide because you're your own God, right? You can create your own religion because you're your own God. Yeah, it's provable. For share your screen. Show it for us all. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? The scripture or like Revelation 20? Hold on, I gotta. Oh my gosh, my son is not taking a nap. Yeah, maybe that's why I got the big C. LOL. Satan is most displeased. Yep. Oh yeah, yep. I was reading the NLT. I know a lot of people are kind of sketchy about that one. That's because they expect Jesus to end their generation. Yeah. Yeah, he's going to delay for a season. They released like 7 years ago. It was a new story. Yeah. If you want to rant a little bit, Joel, let me know. I'm always open-minded to having other people on the stream. Whoops, hold on. The mainstream narrative, the mainstream has a narrative, and the conspiracy truther community has a narrative, and that they give us to follow. You know, it's called the shills, right? They're trying to spread propaganda so that either they make us look crazier, or they'll spread disinformation. They'll believe they are actually doing God's work too. Yeah, a lot of people think that. See, this is okay. I got to say this real quick, and Joel, you're probably going to punch me in the face over this, but I can't help but think the philosophy of I think that anybody that thinks that their sin is acceptable is the ultimate sin. So if anybody thinks that the way that they operate in society, everybody always operates from their own perspective. So I think that humbling yourself in the sight of the Lord is the only way. And anyways, I'll just leave it at that. Ridding humanity and Mother Earth of we, the barbaric, unevolved followers of Jesus and the Bible. Yeah. Hey, Jason, how's it going? I hope you're hanging out still. It shows that there's only a couple people here. Yep, got to watch for the graduated animal farms that Matt from Quantum talks about. Oh, Quantum of Conscience. I've listened to some of his rants. I just, I haven't been as dedicated to that channel as some. Focus on your spiritual self and what's eternal. Well, I mean that's true. Oh, you were talking about. I'm like freaking way behind. Sorry, Joel. Whoops. I believe season is mentioned right after the 1,000-year reign. So divided by 4 seasons, it would be about 250 years. Huh. Well, I'm not saying that is not the right context for season, But I think that season can also be interpreted as well, then again, I mean, you have like time, times, and half a time. Those are specific, stints of time. So to say a season might actually be referring to a quarter of the year, like you're saying. Or it could be something else. I don't know. But it is interesting what you're saying. I was referring to what the Bible says about Christians being killed. So yeah, I'm going to say that is kind of where I think we are coming into. Because it's probably mostly Christians that are the dissenters of what's happening. So yeah, I think that, those who are beheaded for his name, yeah, it's kind of scary. Yeah, Lady Weaver, we're going to have to talk soon because I wanted to talk to you about your situation. I know that you're going through some stuff. And you got a lot on your mind. You got a battle ahead of you. And I don't know if you want to be forthcoming with everybody about what's going on, but I feel like I have hardly any clue of what you're talking about. I mean, you kind of mentioned some stuff, but I kind of caught on to what you're saying, and I hope everything is going okay. So you just let me know what's going on, or if you want to talk sometime. Anyways, so it says those who killed us believe that they are doing God's work. Yes, and you know what? And it's not even funny, but this is what it is. They are actually, I could see how the Nazis actually felt like they were doing God's work or good. Because when you obey the government, you're a patriot. Is that true, or is it the opposite? Are you willing to go against the government because you're a patriot? Anyways. Oh, you're out of here. All right. Well, thanks for stopping by, Lady Weaver. Have a good one, okay? Look at a picture of the Statue of Liberty's foot. All right, hold on. Let me look at it. Hey, Meteor Man. I see that you popped in here. How's it going? Hope things are going well for you, man. Yeah, good point. They are doing the work of God, the God of this world. Good point, man. So Statue of Liberty foot. Let's see what it looks like here. Huh. So wait, what were you saying about it? I see a big old chain on it. Like there's a chain attached to the foot. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but so I'll show you the picture of what I found here. Let's see if you can see it. You can see the foot with a chain mounted to the platform. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but Satan being loose from his chain. Yeah. Is that I imagine that's what you're talking about. So I never knew that there was a chain attached to it. I don't think it was just like their way of like mounting the Statue of Liberty to the platform so that nobody would steal it. I'm sure there's something there's something to that. Here's another one. Let's see that one here. Ooh. Sorry, I'm not very good at holding my phone to the camera there. It's interesting. Yeah, I didn't even know that. Did anybody else know that? That there was a chain on the Statue of Liberty's foot? The chain link is broken. Hold on, let me look at it again. What are you talking about? There's another chain off to the left on this other leg. Ah. Is that the broken chain link you're talking about? So like if you zoom in a little bit, you can see all the chain links, but the one on the part that's it's not actually mounted to the platform. It is broken. Interesting. Man, all the symbology out there, it's crazy. After the 1,000 years, I don't know, man. More and more as you present what you're saying, I mean, it's hard for me to speak against it because I don't really know enough. I need to figure out kind of where you're coming from on a deeper level. I know. Hold on, let me read it. And I'm guessing you want me to read it in the King James. I'll switch it to King James. In fact, you were saying do a screen share, so all right, I'll drop you a link. Hold on. It's easier for you to freaking share some of this stuff because you're more familiar. And we'll see how long this will last because I'm kind of monitoring my my children as they're sleeping. So I'm just waiting for a kid to start crying. So if I have a kid start crying, I might have to cut it short, but we'll see. Looks like they're both sleeping still. There's my buddy Joel.
Yo, what's up, dude?
What's going on, brother?
Just chilling. Yeah, I'm not trying to be dogmatic about that whole 1,000-year thing. I just really truly believe that God opened my eyes to it, and it feels the way it felt when I learned about the shape of the earth. It feels like I'm going through those feelings all over again because I was preparing for potentially being a martyr for Jesus, believing that, you know, he's about to return, the Antichrist is coming. I was, for the last 8.5 years, that was my mindset. Now I'm seeing the Bible way differently because of there was some questions that came up. It started with 144,000 Jews, and the question was, well, how can that happen when the 12 tribes don't even exist anymore? All the bloodlines are mixed and scattered. So how could that happen? That's the question that led me into reading Matthew 24 again and just taking it for what the scripture says. I mean, Jesus told his disciples to their face, you will not have gone through all the cities of Israel before he returns. So when Jesus told them, this generation shall not pass, in context, he was talking to his disciples, telling them this generation will not pass. So when Revelation 1 says that when Jesus returns, it says every eye will see him, even those who pierced him. So I believe that God wanted us to realize how soon Jesus was returning. It says that even the ones who crucified Jesus would see him return. So I know I'm firing a bunch of scripture at you, but I really mean it, bro. Like, this is a provable thing. And that's why they don't care. People fight about when the rapture is going to be. It already happened. If you share your screen or let me share my screen, I'm going to show Revelation 20 and we'll just read it together, because this is the timeline of the Bible.
Yeah. So just real quick before we, I don't want to squirrel necessarily, but I feel like this is kind of a segue into kind of what we are to anticipate going forward, and that's kind of where I'm like trying to promote this information to people, because obviously I think that we are in a time, even if it's a season, whether it's a season that lasts for a quarter of a year or if it's a whatever, I just feel like we need to be mindful, and I think that there are going to be martyrs for the faith going forward. And that's kind of where I'm going with a lot of this, is I feel like we could see how this could turn into that type of situation. But I'll share this otherwise.
No, we don't have to do that.
What's that?
We don't have to do that. I want to ask Pyridoxine Oxide, who did they get? You're bringing up the Mandela effect. Who did they give credit for the term Mandela effect? Do you know offhand immediately without Googling it? Who they gave credit to? I'll tell you, it's a female.
Are you asking me or Paradox?
Yeah, whoever this is, I don't.
Yeah, Paradoxine comes in every so often.
Okay, well, I care because she's a witch. She's a necromancer witch. They even made a character on the show Charmed based on this woman's life. She is a Satanist through and through, and I actually am a researcher, and I actually have done research where I could prove on several of these different Mandela effects how they pulled it off. But I went through this like 6 years ago. I'm very familiar with the Mandela effect.
Yeah. So I don't hear about it anymore. I've kind of put it on the back burner.
No, I hear you, bro. I was just focused on whoever this person is, because they come out with that same rhetoric that they learned from their head cheerleader, and they called me a normie.
Talking about Brian Staley.
Well, I mean, if it's that easy to figure it out, then I guess. But for you to call me a normie and talk about the book of Revelation as if you study the Word of God and that you have studied it for years is mind-blowing to me. If you think I'm a normie,
I've been hearing the word normie in reference to people.
It's adorable, because I can take this conversation as far as anyone is able to sustain it. That's what's funny. So I'm not going to be offended because you don't know me, but I think you should slow down before you start saying things like that to people you don't know.
Hold on, let's talk about this real quick, because I know ice in the North Pole. I actually Mount Meru is kind of an interesting.
I believe that's magnetic north.
Yeah, I actually feel like there's something going on in the north that they've been hiding, but they actually had it in maps back in the 1500s or whatever.
Yeah, it was like the actual center there.
Yeah, so it's interesting to me, and I'm trying to contrast all that with, like, kind of what you're saying with Tartaria, and there was like the 4 islands that kind of met in the middle, and there's 4 rivers that met going toward Mount Meru. That's an interesting topic to me too. But some of this stuff, and I don't know. Do you follow Rob Skiba at all anymore?
Not anymore, dude. No, he's.
I mean, do you kind of look at him like he's kind of?
I think he's a gatekeeper.
Or do you think he's like?
I think he's a gatekeeper. Yeah, he's definitely misleading people for sure.
Yeah, so I appreciated his last guest that he had because he was talking about like mythology and how there's a lot more truth to mythology than there is. I mean, is it just embellished stories, or is there more truth to it? And so, like with these gates and these portals and stuff that are opening up, we're starting to see a lot more of these kind of creatures that come through.
But that's the thing. You have no evidence of the portals. We have video of CERN the same way they would take video of the International Space Station. We have no idea. All they did was take a picture of some high-tech looking walls with wires hanging out of it. We don't have any idea if the Large Hadron Collider does anything. We really don't.
Well, when you're saying, so you don't believe in portals, or is that what you're saying?
Oh no, portals exist, but I'm saying, who are you giving credit to these portals opening? How do you have evidence of that?
Well, I'm just thinking of like Skinwalker Ranch or something. They had, these entities crawling through a portal, and there was eyewitnesses to that. But again, you're just taking someone's word for it.
Well, no, I'm not saying that's not possible. I'm just saying, how does that relate to the time period we live in? Because the narrative is that we're waiting on the mark of the beast. And I think they're purposely putting propaganda out there to make us believe that. If Satan's the most subtle beast of the field, why is the Super Bowl halftime show have a dude with all black on, glowing red eyes, descending from the sky with his arms stretched out like Jesus on the cross, which obviously represents the Antichrist coming? Why would Satan be doing that unless he wanted us to believe that's the time we lived in? So when I asked you to share your screen so that Revelation 20, so you could see it, I'm not saying for sure that this is us, but we have to find common ground immediately and say, okay, according to the Bible, Jesus will return, Armageddon will happen, and then Jesus will be on the earth for 1,000 years. And then after that, Satan is let loose again, and he goes out and deceives the nations. And then it says Satan gathers his armies. He surrounds the camp of the saints. Then the very next thing that happens is it says fire comes from God out of heaven. So what I'm suggesting is, if that happened, whoever those people are, they're going to be born on earth after Jesus already returned. Obviously, Satan's going to hide all the evidence he can that Jesus was just here. I think that's what they call the Dark Ages, because Jesus is the light of the world. So why wouldn't they call it the Dark Ages? For them, it was. So we have this 1,000-year period of missing history that they just say is the Dark Ages. But whoever those people are, what I'm presenting is they get deceived, and they're born after Jesus was here. So
the Dark Ages was what, like 1500 or something?
Well, that's involved in it. Yeah, what they
or
say.
Wait, it would be from like 1,000 to, or maybe 800 to 1800 or something like that. That's 1,000 years, right?
Something, yeah, it's around. You're close.
But again, you're saying that could be off anyway, because we might not even be in 2021. We could be in like 800 or 1,000 or something like that.
Yeah, I think that we're actually in like the year 1300. I think
1300. Okay.
I think when Jesus told them that, he says, some of you standing here won't taste of death until they see me coming in my kingdom with the angels. He's very specifically telling them, some of you are still going to be alive. And even Paul included himself in that. When it talks about the so-called rapture, Paul says, we who are alive and remain shall not die, but be changed in the twinkling of an eye. So
that's after the tribulation.
But yeah, it's after, and it's right before the wrath of God. But the rapture, so-called rapture, would happen at the end of tribulation. That's why people are getting their heads.
You're a pre-wrather.
Well, it says that he doesn't.
What is the rapture, as far as your perspective on that?
I believe it's 100% provable that the so-called rapture happened at the end of tribulation before God poured out his wrath.
The wrath is already done, and
I'm saying, yeah, Armageddon already happened. I'm saying the 1,000 years already happened. I can show you
Armageddon. Or no, Gog and Magog is the final battle, right?
Yes, and pull it up. Look at Revelation.
All right. Here, let me share your screen. There you go.
All right. So look at this. You got through this part. I'll read it fast. And I saw an angel. This is towards the very end of the Bible. For anyone that sees it, there's 2 chapters after this. Right.
Hey, hold on. Before you start, Pyridoxine Oxide. I know your position on Mandela. I know all the things that they assert about the Bible, but just kind of take it for what it is. Don't look for anomalies and Mandela effects or whatever. Because I saw you mention something about Book of Revelations. Honestly, that's just
it's always been, it's one revelation. It's Revelation.
It's always been Revelation, from what I know.
Yeah. So. Anyway,
misunderstanding is what it comes down to.
But let me explain this to you, Pyridoxine Oxide. Here's the thing. This would all tie into what they would call the Great Delusion. I used to think that the Mandela effect was tied into the fact that we're right at the end of the Bible before Jesus returns. That was my position for a long time. What I'm presenting right now is not my opinion. I want you to see Revelation chapter 20, after Jesus returns. So the mark of the beast, the Antichrist, people get their head cut off. Jesus returns. Armageddon happens. It says that the hills will melt like wax and that the elements will melt with fervent heat in his presence. I can show you physical evidence of this happening. It talks about wormwood in the Bible. Wormwood is a star that would hit the water and cause the water to become bitter, and men would die from it because they can't drink it. I'm saying that
Chernobyl means wormwood. I understand.
Well, this is where salt water came from. This is what I'm presenting.
Oh, okay.
It already happened. It hit the water. It made it salt water. It's bitter, and you will die if you drink it. I'm saying that all the continents that they call the continental drift, that we're all separated now. I'm saying it's because on the day of the Lord, there would be great earthquakes, and that's what separated our continents. All these things already happened, and we're in Revelation 20, and I'm going to show you the exact verse of where I believe we're at. This is for everybody. This is very important. This feels like the end of the rabbit hole when you find out Satan is trying to rearrange the movie set of the world to look like we're waiting on the return of Jesus. Because when I show you the next thing that's going to happen in prophecy, you're going to realize how Satan has tricked us to be being united with the world. Because the next thing that happens is fire comes from the sky, but it's God the Father sending the fire. But if fire came from the sky right now, the world would say that they're hostile aliens, and the Christians will say, no, guys, aliens aren't real. The earth is flat, and those are actually fallen angels because the Antichrist is coming. When actually we've been tricked. We're at the other side of prophecy in Revelation 20 after Jesus was already here. So the fire coming from heaven is the Father. But we're going to want to fight the fire because we're going to think it's fallen angels.
So let me ask you this real quick, because one of my ventures is try to figure out what they're doing with the whole alien disclosure thing.
This is how they're going to trick us right here.
Because they're doing the Project Bluebeam and all this freaking deception stuff that they're going to make us think that there is a. So I'm wondering if they're going to try to deceive us by doing fire in the sky, right?
Well,
so that's where you're saying that if fire in the sky is happening, it's going to be God.
Yeah, look.
But I think it could be a deception also. So, I mean, it could be a discernment thing.
Well, did you actually read the paperwork on Project Bluebeam? Because number one, it wasn't finished. And number two, it specifically talks about them faking not fire from the sky, but faking religious leaders for each section of the world. So they would have Buddha appear in the sky for some people. Jesus would appear. That's what Project Bluebeam is. And it's been widely spread as being all these other things when the dude that wrote it didn't even finish writing it. He allegedly died. But it's available for people to read, and it's only focused on that specific topic. It's not even about faking an alien invasion. It's about faking religious leaders appearing in the sky.
Well, I mean, I can't argue against that. I don't know. I've never heard anything like that, but all I know is that I've been like tracking a lot of the alien stuff lately because there's a lot of people that say that they've been abducted or they've had some sort of experience or whatever. And yeah. I honestly think that a lot of these people are going into a trance state and being hijacked by like a demon or something.
It's probably astral projection. It's probably what's happening.
Yeah, I don't think it's a physical thing.
No, and people will experience that. You know, if they do DMT or ayahuasca, like you can have these experiences where you feel like you've went somewhere because it's your spirit. You are a spirit. Your physical body is where you live right now, but we're actually all spirits. So
yeah, I was so I don't know if you watched the last couple streams that I did, but I talked about Mr. Ballin. I don't know if you ever watched his channel, but basically he did a story about the exorcism of Emily Rose. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah.
Well, so it was kind of based on a true story of a girl that actually was possessed, and she kind of went psychotic and just started like harming herself, and they called in like the priest to come in and start praying for her and casting out the demons or whatever. And but I don't know. The more I look into the missing person phenomenon, and then all kinds of different things about like Bigfoot and all that. I feel like a lot of people tell stories of going into like an area where they are being mind controlled, and or maybe they're having hallucinations. It could be DMT, or it could be something that knows how to tap into your consciousness somehow. I don't know. Anyways, but
you have to see this, bro. I know. I'm pretty familiar with the that whole topic. We can get into that. I want to read this fast for anyone that sees it, though, because I believe this is important. This is prophecy. This is the timeline. So we know about Jesus returning in the mark of the beast, but what happens after he returns? This is what it says. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loose a little season. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy is he that has part in the first resurrection. Not everyone does that. These are the people who made it through tribulation. It talks about the ones that didn't take the mark. They that are part of the first resurrection. Then it says, on such the second death has no power, but they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. Okay. I believe that's the Dark Ages. I believe that's what Tartaria and the mud floods are. Evidence of Armageddon and the kingdom of Christians for 1,000 years. But anyway, it says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. That's why I showed you the broken chain on the foot of the Statue of Liberty. I think Satan's been loosed for about 250 years. We're at the tail end of that. I think we have maybe 20 years left at the most. But anyway, and shall
you came up with the 250 years because of the seasons thing.
Well, I think that there was a huge reset. I believe the New World Order is already here, and that the New World Order was named that because it was the New World Order after Jesus was here for 1,000 years.
You just got me a strike and taken off of YouTube. Oops.
What?
You just got me a strike and taken off of YouTube for saying that.
For saying what?
NWO.
No way.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead. I might get a strike because of that, but we'll see.
I highly doubt it. Anyway, just check this out. Now, Satan's let loose after the 1,000 years. So when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about in the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. So after the 1,000 years, Jesus is on the earth for 1,000 years. It says his feet will touch down on the Mount of Olives. I believe he physically was here for 1,000 years. After that, Satan is let loose. He gathers his armies and then surrounds the camp of the saints and the beloved city. Then the very next thing that happens, it says fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. So this is actually good news for whoever these people are born after the 1,000 years, because it says Satan deceives the nations. So whoever those people are, they get deceived. I'm suggesting that our history is almost completely fabricated, and that the Dark Ages were the reign of Christ, that we have evidence. The scripture tells us over and over that they were waiting for Jesus to come in their lifetime. They wouldn't even finish going through the cities of Israel. That's how fast he was coming back. The Bible says that it was already preached to every creature under heaven in Colossians chapter 1. It says that the gospel was already preached to every creature under heaven. That was one of the reasons I thought we didn't have Jesus come back yet, is that we had to preach the gospel to all nations. But the Bible actually says that that's already happened. right here, bro. And if you continue in the faith, grounded and settled, and be not moved away from the hope of the gospel, which you have heard, and which was preached to every creature which is under heaven, whereof I, Paul, am made a minister. So right there, the gospel was preached to every creature under heaven. By that point, I mean, when you look,
go back to that. I mean, it sounds like you're basing a whole belief system off of that verse, and I'm trying to figure out what you're saying here.
A whole belief system, bro.
So when I say that this is where it says that the gospel was already preached to the whole world, this is the verse you use. So that's a belief system, is what I'm saying. But I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that if that is, I mean, hold on. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. Which ye have heard, and which was preached to every creature which is under heaven. Okay, well, I see where you're coming from. Go ahead, sorry. I didn't mean to derail you. Can you hear me? Oh, crap. Are you there still? Can you hear me now? Oh, I lost you. Hopefully you didn't like just jump off. And come back if you want, but anyways. All right, well, hopefully me saying belief system didn't throw you off. Oh, okay. Lost your internet. Good. Yeah, I just said your belief system, and then you dropped off, and I'm like, oh crap. Hopefully, because that's what happens with my wife and I sometimes. Like, I'll say something, and I didn't realize I offended her, and then she'll let me know later that I offended her, and it's like, what the heck? I didn't even know. Shows how oblivious I am most of the time. I don't know, Joel. Hold on. Let me see. Let me know if you're unable to get back here. Because then otherwise I'll change gears. Let's see here. I might have a little bit more time here. Let me. So, I don't know, man. Hopefully your internet's not just done. If it is, I'll change gears. But so going back to the original content of what I was going for here, it's the lies that perpetuate dystopia. Let's see here. Oh. So Meteor Man, this is groundbreaking understanding. Yeah, Joel, I haven't even gotten anything as far as like you trying to get on. Sorry about that, man. Anyways, Meteor Man, are you talking about the stuff that Joel and I were talking about? If you haven't heard this perspective, Joel and I have talked about this on several occasions on this channel, I think. It's interesting to me. A lot of the stuff that I hear, and I always try to poke holes in things, and it's not my goal to just, cut anybody down and make them feel like what they're doing or what they're saying is not true. But I always look for possible, I don't know, flaws in what they're saying, I guess. I'm going to say yes to this question, Pyridoxine. Yes, he is. And yes, I am. In most situations, I feel like, yeah, there you go. Flat. So I actually feel like the realm or the Matrix realm or whatever. I mean, I don't know, but the bottom line is we are in for a situation that I think we need to be prepared emotionally, mentally, and physically. I mean, there's a lot of things. I've been letting certain weeds grow rampant in my yard because I want to have a food source just in case. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's where I'm at. I want to make sure that I'm. It's not that I'm a devil's advocate. I don't want to actually give the devil the credit on that, but I feel like a lot of things out there are being presented or projected to the world, and oftentimes people are presenting a bias, and I am well aware that that's what people are doing, and I even try to test my own fundamentals before I present information because I want to make sure that what I'm saying isn't too biased. So anyways, Joel, yeah, I just a lot of what you're saying, you can interpret it that way. I definitely see where you can interpret it that way. And a lot of the like the verse that you're showing me about the message had already been preached. To the world. So you're saying that you highly urge watch 35 minutes. Okay, there it is. See if I can pull it up on my phone so that all right, I'm pulling it up on my phone right now so that I can watch it later. I'll watch it. Heck yeah, man. Oh, you love this freaking channel. I've listened to this guy before. Or is this the same video that you sent me? Huh, okay. I feel like this is the one that I started watching. I just didn't finish it. Anyways. Can you agree that people are born after the 1,000 years? Yeah, actually, I remember, I want to say it was in Ezekiel, I think. Was it Ezekiel? Trying to remember. Man, I got to sharpen my knowledge of the word again because I actually, there's things that I just learned. I just like packed my brain full of information when I was younger, and now I'm just like kind of living off of that information. And I feel like I'm a little rusty again. Some of the stuff that I used to know, I just don't even know how I know it anymore. So I've forgotten more than you know. Just kidding. Anyways, so I'm only about an hour and 20 minutes into this, but I feel like I want to just kind of clarify. We are in some unusual times, so be watching the next several weeks. I think that we're coming into, Rone-dizzle 2.0. It's going to be ramping up hard, and a lot of people are going to be getting sick and dying, and they're going to blame people like us because we won't get. We know what's going on, but they're going to blame us for what's going on is what I'm trying to get at. So be ready. There's some crazy stuff coming. I hate saying that. And like I was saying earlier, my freaking business, I'm kind of counting on people to freaking call me and, do business with me. And now I'm like, I kind of, I thought about this beforehand. I'm like, of course they're going to shut it down again. Of course they're going to say my business isn't essential. Of course they're going to freaking say that I have to wear a face diaper. Of course they're going to freaking say, get the, because otherwise I'm gonna be the one that they're gonna blame. So, anyways, grocery shopping with the wife. Okay. All right, man. Well, eat some rotten meat for me. Recently I noticed, oh, hold on, I gotta get this one here. I think the old Volkswagen symbol might have been some sorcery as somehow the Nazis stumbled upon it in a cave, supposedly. And now it's on everywhere. I don't doubt it. The vector symbol is on everything having to do with space. So it's like that's a new world concept too, because they're trying to get people in the mindset. So anything where they have symbology is a programming device, I think. They're trying to program people by using symbology. And I hate to admit it, but this right here, you know, a lot of people might look at that and say, oh, there's an eye that should be right there. There's an eye. So you're promoting the, you know, that could be construed as my propaganda to cause, anyways. It's not my goal, by the way. I'm not trying to deceive people or anything. Recently, I noticed the 6 feet sticker looks like it too. I don't even know what that is. I hear has already been developed. Oh, interesting. Of course they already developed it, because that's going to be the new process. Just develop the new wax skin for every variant that comes out, right? Because they have to, in order to get ahead of the because if they don't, then they're not going to make billions of dollars. There's more billionaires now in the since the lockdowns or since the development of this wax skin or waxen. Because obviously it's a moneymaker, but I don't think that that's the ultimate goal. I think it's a way of herding the cattle. Just ship us to Africa? Huh? There's a lot of stuff there. They've been surviving for millennia in the bush. There's a lot of space, a lot of wild animals and stuff. The Antichrist gains its power through marking shipments of food clean. Did I skip? Hold on. You were saying just hire somebody, people that already got the. Oh, you're back. I just put your little thing up here that I missed.
Yeah, I was talking to PO. I'm going to call him Oxide. He said the Antichrist gains his power through marking shipments of food clean. I don't know where that idea would come from. I mean, it talks about the beast giving over power and all these other things in Revelation, but we need to make sure everything when it comes to these ideas, that they actually line up with Scripture. Otherwise, you know, that's when people are in danger of making up their own situation in their imagination. It doesn't say anything about the Antichrist gaining his power. And what I've been trying to show you is that there's people born after the Antichrist was already here. And I'm suggesting that that's us, and that I can actually show the scripture that supports it, like multiple scriptures over and over and over that talk about how soon Jesus was going to return. I mean, the whole book of Revelation was given to 7 actual churches, and they were being warned of how soon Jesus was returning.
You know, everything that you're saying is actually, it's kind of derailing what I'm suggesting. And the reason I say that is because if what you're saying is true,
then the mark of the beast already happened.
The mark of the beast system is null, right? So, but obviously there's something going on that's trying to deceive us into thinking that's what it is.
Yeah, because that's because if what I'm saying is right, the next thing that happens, it says Satan gathers his armies, he surrounds the saints. Then the next thing that happens is God sends fire from the sky. I'm suggesting that if fire comes from the sky tomorrow, we will not be like, oh, that's the Father rescuing us. The world's going to say they're aliens, and that's why they need the Space Force, because there's hostile aliens going to attack. And then the Christians will think they're fallen angels attacking us, because we'll say, no, aliens don't exist. They're fallen angels. When we've been united with the world. You know, we think they're fallen angels, so obviously we want to fight them. The world thinks they're aliens that are attacking, so they're going to want to fight them. We've been united with the world to fight against the Father in heaven, because Satan deceived the nations, just like the Bible said, and made us believe the mark of the beast was coming. That's why they print papers and have patents that say 666. Like, they do that on purpose. They know what their purpose is.
2020 060606.
Yeah, like they're feeding a narrative to the so-called truth.
See, that's where I'm like, they're definitely trying to get people like us thinking like, holy crap, they're doing it right in front of our faces.
Yeah, for sure, because we've all been tricked, and we're actually the ones born after the return of Christ already happened. That's the trick.
This reminds me of like a weird freaking twist and turn, freaking, like a series or something where you're like twisting and turning all these directions, and you're like, you just have this epiphany of like what's actually happening.
Yeah, dude, it felt like flat Earth for me all over again, dude. It was flat Earth all over again. My whole world was flipped. I've been waiting for the return of Jesus for almost 9 years. I have a whole room that I call the food room. I mean, I've been dedicated to this lifestyle.
Well, I have a storage of a bunch of like dry food, and then I have a garden. And I was just explaining that I have weeds in the back that I'm just letting go rampant that are edible. So I'm just like, I'm being mindful of things like that. But again, like you're saying, obviously we're not supposed to store up in barns, but there's also the. I think that's kind of
I think Satan's replicating what the system happened back then. I believe he's doing it again. He's replicating it, but I believe that we're gonna see fire come from heaven. So
let me address this real quick. So no one can buy or sell without the chip. Now, so are you in agreement that they are trying to put on a facade, so to speak, where everybody's going to be forced into the direction of being marked with something, right?
Yeah.
So this is a facade, is what you're saying. It's not the actual mark of the beast.
Correct. Absolutely. I am presenting the idea that I can show you the physical evidence that Armageddon already happened. They call it the mud floods, but it's literally the hills melted like wax. I mean, something made this happen. And there's a whole empire called the Tartarian Empire of these amazing buildings that we basically just inherited. I believe Tesla was one of the children of the saints, the glorified bodies. They have some of these amazing buildings don't even have waste management. However, they have amazing fountains right outside the front door. Like, they had the ability to have bathrooms inside these amazing buildings. And they didn't. And I think it was the glorified bodies, the perfect saints. When the rapture happened, I believe that they didn't even need waste management. I believe that.
Where did they go?
They had to. They had perfect bodies. They didn't even need to eat.
No, where did they go? Not where. Not where. They went, talking about where did they end up going?
They went back up. We know, if we keep reading after Revelation 20, when New Jerusalem comes down, because God creates a new heaven and a new earth. So the Antichrist comes, mark of the beast, Jesus returns, the wrath of God is poured out, Jesus returns, he's on the earth for 1,000 years. Then the saints, the angels, which I believe are the stars, they're luminaries. I believe that they went back up into heaven for the season that Satan was let loose. The reason I say that is when New Jerusalem comes down out of heaven, it says that Jesus is on the throne. It says there's a voice from the throne. So we know that Jesus is back on the throne after his 1,000-year reign was over. And that, I'm saying that him being on the earth for 1,000 years was what they told us is the Dark Ages, because everything's inverted. Jesus is the light of the world. Why wouldn't Satan call it the Dark Ages?
Didn't you say that there was a coin or something that
There's
had
multiple coins.
Jesus' faith or face on it? I mean, like a Jesus coin or something. I forget exactly.
No. There's here. I'll show you the video. It's like a
yeah. I'll share a few things. I mean, we can talk about this, but again, my thought process in having a live stream, and we're completely off topic, by the way. I actually, but then again, it might be on topic because if we're being redirected in a way of truth, which I'm willing to investigate all angles, and again, I still feel like there's martyrdom coming.
Oh yeah, there could very well be.
So if it's the pseudo freaking Mark of the Beast system coming, it still is a pseudo Mark of the Beast system that is going to still perpetuate the dystopia.
Right. I mean, I obviously what they're doing is not good. There's no doubt that it's a very sinister plot that we're watching unfold. If you let me share my screen, yeah, you see it. All right, check this out. This is the mud flood. Okay, this is going to be, the Bible says that the hills would melt like wax when Jesus returned. I am suggesting that he already did return and that we're in Revelation chapter 20. Here's the physical evidence of what Armageddon looks like, in my opinion.
In the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of God, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat?
Yeah, what you're going to see, I mean, they were melted. Something melted these structures.
I don't want a broken home, but if I'm meant to be free, and they just let
All this stuff's really interesting to me. I always liked how they could carve rock structures like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of that. Is it like Go Begla Tepe or something? I can't remember the name of it. Maybe that's a different one, but.
It's my time to fly. I don't need no good time.
All right, so I mean, it just shows the structures, how anyway, let me show you the coins here. All right, so they found these coins that literally prove, I believe that they hid our timeline completely. If they lied about the shape of the earth, see, biblically, Satan's the god of this world. Jesus said there's no truth in him, and that like if there's no truth in him, it's not possible for him to tell the truth. So he lied about the shape of the earth, but he also lied about what year it is. It is not 2021. We have been completely deceived.
Okay, so real quick, I want to clear some things up before I get into the video so there's no confusion. One, the I or J always stands for either Jesus or Jesus.
Oh, okay. That's what it was.
Sometimes they use the J. Two, the way they wrote back then is not exactly how we write today, which explains why sometimes letters or numbers look a little different. Three, the end of this video is going to prove without a doubt that they fabricated the history. So if the coins are not enough, stay till the end. 4, this video is especially for the skeptics. If you have a better explanation, then leave it in the comments. Lastly, this video is very beginner friendly, so feel free to share with your friends.
The spirit of a sorcerer
All right, so
opposes his will for a thrill.
just pay attention. He'll point out these coins have an I or a J in front of the numbers, and it's clearly not a number. You'll see it's definitely a J or definitely an I, and it's
So
because
the mainstream narrative is that that is a 1,
correct,
but
but
they're saying it's an I.
yeah, watch.
Black magic.
Here, I'll turn the volume off.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's.
I'll speed it up a little bit so we can get through it faster. But I'll pause it when we get to
That's cool.
what is going on here. Okay, so yeah, if you look at the bottom here, when this red line goes away, if it does, look at the bottom. It says I-747. Going crazy over here. All right, so right here on the right-hand side, you'll see it says J. That's a J, not a 1. J700. So the suggestion is during the Dark Ages was actually the reign of Jesus, and that the money during that time had an I or a J.
So the letter I and the letter J are kind of rooted in the same letter, basically, because as far as like when they broke out into different languages.
Yeah. So in Greek,
I know that the Muslims call Jesus Iusis or whatever.
Right.
I know that they call him that, but go ahead.
That's because in Greek it's Iesus.
Yeah.
And then Greek to English it's Jesus. Greek to Hebrew it's Yehoshua.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so when you look at this right here at the top, even here that's an I-592.
Well, I mean, Roman numeral 1 is shaped like an I.
Well, here's the thing. You'll see the J as well, but it's not just the coins. We found maps. Look, that's a J. There's maps that have it. There's a desk that has, it says like the year 654, but then when you look it up in Wikipedia, it says 1654, like they add 1,000 years to it, even though the encryption, or whatever it would be called, the inscription on the desk says it's like 654. When you look up the history of the desk, they tell you it was 1,000 years on top of it. There's J 693. The fact is, when you look into the Tartarian Empire, I mean, it's not my opinion any longer. Like, there's obviously, our technology was way more advanced then. You look up the star fortresses. If you've never seen the star forts, that'll blow your mind. I believe they were taking energy from the water, and that people, the whole system was being run on free energy. That they would, when you look at these church buildings that have giant organs, that's because they're dealing with frequencies. Everything back then, like I believe Tesla was one of the children who learned during the 1,000-year reign of Christ. I believe he knew this technology. But it's more than obvious when you start to research it. We basically inherited all of this stuff, and it's like we had to reverse engineer like how this stuff even worked. And then they hid a lot of it. I mean, this rabbit hole is pretty deep, but I believe it fills in a lot of blanks with the Bible, and it shows us where we actually are. So yeah,
I always
Look
the
right.
philosophy of interpretation has always like been an important topic of discussion for me. I feel like people see, like, I can interpret it the way that you're saying, but I could also interpret it other ways too. So
can you interpret whether or not? I mean, the common ground I wanted to establish is it your interpretation that people are born after Jesus was already here, or is that plain as day? The Bible says that people are born after the 1,000 years and Satan is let loose. That's not my interpretation. That's not your interpretation.
I feel like the Bible it actually says it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear that after the 1,000 years, Satan gets let loose off his chain and that he goes out and deceives the nations. I mean, that's not my interpretation. So if we can work off of that starting point, that there are people born on the earth that get deceived and they're born after the 1,000-year reign of Christ. Well, how can Satan deceive those people if they're born after Jesus was here and we knew Jesus was just here? Wouldn't the first thing Satan do is hide all the evidence he could that Jesus was just on the earth for 1,000 years in order to deceive these people? I mean, he's not going to, whoever those people are not going to grow up like, oh, the King of Kings was just here 100 years ago. Like, no, they're going to hide it. And I think that that's what they did with the Dark Ages. I think they purposely are making it look like the mark of the beast is coming to trick us about what part of the Bible we're in.
I'm trying to figure out how it would actually look when there was a transition between Jesus being the King of Kings and then him saying, oh, okay, I'm going back to the throne in heaven, which kind of makes me wonder about the whole freaking Jehovah's Witness thing, where they're saying, oh, well, Jesus was going to return in 1914, but instead he actually stayed, or he went to go reside in his throne in heaven. So,
well, I mean, Jehovah's Witnesses were started by a Freemason,
Charles Tate Russell, who was a freaking Freemason. Yeah,
bro. I mean, it's a cult. It's a false. They're not true Christians, dude. The true Christianity is very narrow when you start to break it down about how you actually get saved, and it is by the grace of God through being fully persuaded and trusting in the finished work of Christ. There is nothing we can do. We will be rewarded for our good works, but there is nothing you can bring to God as your good works to deserve to go to heaven. It is not possible. We've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. We should strive to have a relationship with Jesus. We should do good works for Jesus. But if your heart has not been changed and you don't trust in Jesus, you are not going to heaven. So when we talk about Jehovah's Witness and a lot of these other different denominations and divisions of so-called Christianity, we can demolish them with the Bible very quickly. And that's why a lot of them bring their own books. You have the Book of Mormon. It's always, get your information from this other source, when I believe that our final authority in life should be the Bible. That no matter what the world looks like, if the Bible says something, that's what we need to roll with, no matter what we see with our eyes. No, it's just a really important time we live in. No matter what, we live in Bible times, whether what I'm saying is true or not. Or I mean, I'm not new to the other line of thinking. I was preparing to get my head cut off for almost 9 years. I was preparing to.
They were using ISIS as a, see, and I felt like I heard of something that really proved ISIS was just actors too. But I've heard I've heard ISIS is a real movement, but I also felt like a lot of the beheadings and stuff were fake. And
well, yeah, they had pictures of those guys where they had their military tattoos on their forearms and stuff. Like there was a Marine or something. He had a mask on, but you could see his tattoo.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I mean, I don't. When I start thinking about a lot of this stuff, I start feeling like, man, there's so many different ways you can look at this stuff. I just feel like it's hard for me to really trust a perspective without. You have to have a starting point, and Jesus. The more I actually look at, when I vary away from the gospel of Jesus, I feel like it's convoluted and I feel like it's confusing. And I actually feel like I have to, like when you start venturing down these roads of researching like the paranormal and stuff, you get this feeling of darkness over you when you start looking into a lot of this stuff. And, I feel like the gospel of Christ actually fills you up. So that's why I'm convinced that, the philosophy of the interpretation of Jesus filter is the only way that leads, is the only way, I guess you could say, that's correct. Because of you know, I don't know. I mean, anyways, I'll just leave it.
That's wonderful. I agree.
Yeah. But anyways, but I know I got a lot of people that are non-Christians that follow my channel. And because I think that they're willing to hear perspective. And one of my best friends, well, not best friends, I'm going to say one of the people that I find most interesting to have conversations with is basically a former Christian that, you know, he always wants to pick my brain about certain things, like, because I think in a lot of ways I think he's feeling like maybe there's a chance that he didn't like.
Well, he wouldn't have been a real believer. The Bible calls him a false convert. It says that.
Well, hold on, I didn't finish my thought. You're going off on another tangent. Hold on.
No,
I think in a lot of ways,
Christian.
well, I think that he actually feels like a sense of remorse when he actually talks to me, because in a lot of ways he feels like maybe he didn't investigate everything fully before he drew a conclusion. So,
well, that's what he's saying. Yeah, he was never a real Christian. The Bible talks about that.
Yeah, that reminds me of something my sister, as a Calvinist, says, is that they went out from us because they were never of us.
That's the scripture I was going to say.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I've heard a lot of. So I don't know. I mean,
he says, had they been of us, they would have remained. Because when you can't be convinced that you're not a man, Charlie. No matter what I say to you, you're fully persuaded that you're a man. So
I mean, until my own perception shifts, and then I decide that. So you like a seed can be planted, and then as long as it's being watered, you're going to be able to have that potential of being deceived.
I don't think anyone could change my mind about who I am.
Yes.
My mother, saying who my mother is. Like, you could never, like, those type of things. I'm fully persuaded. Like, I'm fully persuaded Jesus is the truth. He is God. He died for me. Like, no one could ever convince me otherwise. When you're born again, you can never be unborn again. It says you're sealed until the day of redemption. So if your friend was a true Christian, he could backslide. His relationship with God could suffer, but he could never not be a believer in Christ. He would always know that he's walked away from God, but that just means that he was probably really close to believing. But like you just said, he didn't investigate it enough to come to a conclusion whether Jesus was the truth or he wasn't the truth. It sounds like he didn't come to a conclusion.
Well, I think that he feels that Jesus is a philosophy. Like, it's not necessarily. I mean, he says he could be a true guy, or maybe he was a true guy that had a lot of people distort his message, kind of thing. A lot of people think that. I don't know.
So that's what I mean. If that's where he's at today, it means he was never a true believer back then. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I don't know. But where are we at here? Let me check on my kids real quick. Just to kind of, I just want to tell you a little piece of kind of where I'm at now. My business is doing pretty good, and my wife is kind of backing me up now with the business stuff. But at the same time, I'm a little nervous about what's coming as far as survival. How you been as far as like your ventures?
I'm doing all right. I just got, good news with work. I do 3D floor designs for custom houses, and I just found out that this company that is the people who actually do the building, they are doing a subdivision of 30 houses, and they're all custom. So that's a huge blessing right there.
You're doing construction, or are you doing?
Oh, I do the 3D. I do the floor design, the plan for the house. But basically we work with builders, so people who do the construction. When they get a new project, they send them to us, and we design the house with the customer. So they pay for the blueprints, and then so as far as that's cool, and it's nice because I don't have to leave.
How much is it? I mean, how much is it to do a design for a full house?
It depends on how the square footage of the house.
Here, let me get you some context as to why I'm asking the question. This room that I'm in is my father-in-law owns this house, but he basically has given it to us, but we just pay the mortgage, and we asked if there was any way that we can tap into the equity to do an add-on to the house, and he actually got 50 grand for us out of the equity, and so we're going to do a room addition and a bathroom addition in hopes that we can. I'm trying to figure out how to go about cutting costs and all that, but
basically what happens is you would actually be able to see. It's almost like SimCity. It's a 3D virtual walkthrough, so it's in real time. So if you were like, oh, what's it look like with the door over here, we can add the door and you see it immediately as a 3D model, just like you would see on like HGTV, when they remodel houses. So I mean, there's not too many companies that do it. As far as cost, I mean, obviously you're a special situation, so we can just talk about that another time, and you can bounce your ideas around as far as what the addition is going to look like. And it's definitely something I can help you with without it.
Yeah, I'm not expecting you to have a solution or whatever right now, but
no, we'll talk. It's easy, man. We'll talk about it. It's not a problem. Like the meetings are like Skype. I mean, it's kind of just like this,
Yeah.
The customer says, this is what I'm thinking, and then whoever the drafter is makes it happen, and you get to see it in real time. It's pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah. Well, all right, Joel, I'm gonna actually wrap it up.
Yeah, dude, we've been on here a long time. You let me vent for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm always willing to talk about this perspective. Sometimes I feel like time is of the essence now, whether it's the time that you're talking about or the time that I'm talking about. So I feel like obviously we need to get on the same page. We need to be, we need to connect with God and be, listening to the will of the Father, so to speak. And I just feel like unless you're discerning and listening, if you don't have an ear to hear what the Spirit is saying to the church, then I'm just saying we have to turn on our freaking, our hearing aids, you might say, so that we can listen to what God's saying.
right.
So, and maybe you're part of my hearing aid process. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I agree. Time's important, and the relationship with God's going to be most important. This stuff we talk about today is, eschatology is not salvation issue. You know what I mean? So we can both go to heaven believing we live at, a different part of the Bible. Maybe I am part of that process for you. I don't know. I mean, I'm not, it's not like coming from a different side where it's like, I've been on the side you're on preparing for the return of Christ, you know what I mean, for years. So it's like, I totally understand that. And I feel like God, like, opened my eyes even further to show me like what was like really going on. And now I think there's two narratives going on. I think it's the mainstream, and then I think I fell for the conspiracy narrative for the last 8.5 years. Every time, the guillotines, the FEMA caskets, the CERN, Mandela, like everything we were fed, the Project Bluebeam, all the Richie from Boston warnings that the tanks were coming, everything along the way, I fell for it, bro. I was right there, and I could sit and I could repeat all the numbers and the facts and the dates. I've watched all the Russian vid stuff. Like, I was just basically repeating everything I was hearing, just like they do in the mainstream, you know. And now I think that we've been totally bamboozled, and that we are at a different part of the Bible.
Yeah,
but it's all good either way, man.
You know, I just decided last second that I'm probably going to make this private because I don't want there to be a chance that friggin'
Yeah, don't lose your platform over a live stream like this. It's not worth it.
and I'm not saying that anything we talked about necessarily would trigger that, but I feel like the whole context of what I was talking about initially was about the Rone-dizzle, you know,
Right.
and then the freaking, you know. So I don't want to freaking, you know, I got freaking a strike for something I thought that I was able to, you know, bypass the bots, but apparently I didn't. So,
Right.
So I'm gonna probably make this private afterwards.
That's cool. Well, it is nice talking to you, man. I'll get a hold of you sometime soon outside of YouTube.
Okay. Yeah. I, you know, it's nice getting just keeping in touch, I guess. So.
All right, bro. Well, stay blessed, man. I will talk to you later. I know you still got a few minutes before your kids get up. So.
All right, man. Thanks. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bro. All right, bye.
All right. Bye.